Alright folks, we're back. Thank you for watching that break. So it looks like we're not doing Prince versus Nerdcho. After all, we are going to do Goblin versus PenguiN. So ZvP with Mech Depot being the first map. Also, for those who missed the super important news, I recently bought a new fidget spinner. I know, bought a fidget spinner. Kill me. I'm not even proud of this. But I bought a metal one, right? This is fully metallic and it's like cool and whatever. It's so different than the plastic ones, guys. I went from like Pog to Slamma Jamma with this bad boy. Like, it feels so cool to hold.
My mom went to Las Vegas, well, my mom and my dad both, because of a Cisco conference. And these conferences have like a ton of giveaways, ton of swag giveaways. So she just came back and like a whole like bag full of stuff, right? Surprisingly, no fidget spinners, or she didn't grab any. I'm not sure which one.
Well, so I was looking into that, right? Like, I think I know why companies are doing it. Because if you go to these marketing sites, I know there's none in this one specifically, but we see them everywhere else, right? They're so cheap to mass produce. You, like, seriously, less than $2.
I bet. But what you got me was this, which I like much better.
Oh, the fidget cube? Oh, I'm so jealous. Scion from Blizzard has one of those.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I think he got the one from Kickstarter, which is like a little bit better. This one has like an entire side dedicated to a logo, for instance, but it still has most of them. So
how am I supposed to fidget with a logo? This is so stupid.
Yeah, riddle rip off. No, but I've been using it a little bit. I don't actually fidget that much. I have a friend who like constantly uses it. But for me, it's like whenever I'm hungry, sometimes it's just like I'm bored, so I start fidgeting.
Actually, the thing I enjoy most doing with a fidget spinner is you put it on the desk and spin it, and then just kind of hover your hand over it, and it just creates a breeze. It's kind of like nice for your sweaty palms.
Oh my god.
It's like a really lame fan, but whatever.
It's okay, Rifkin, because she also got me a USB fan, so.
Nice.
She thought of everything.
Alright, well folks, we're in game number 1 of a brand new match. This is the round of 8 for the Corsair Cup. In the top right, we have the pink Protoss Goblin.
In the bottom left, as the red Zerg, it's the Korean PenguiN.
Yeah, so this is going to be really tough and interesting at the same time. PenguiN doesn't quite rank up there with like Keen and Alive, who by the way are both missing today, as far as like a player who comes cross-server a lot. But in Alima Leagues and in BTSLs, PenguiN is a guy who doesn't win those tournaments, but he's like a bracket sniper. Like, you really don't want this guy in your bracket, because he's probably going to knock you out in the round of 16. He's probably going to knock you out in the round of 8. Maybe doesn't quite get past round of 4 type thing, but he's good enough that you don't want to fight him, period.
Yeah, so we don't know a ton about this guy, but we do know, as you said, he's a bracket sniper, like he can do very well. We definitely saw a couple games, such as the likes of Innovation, for instance, where he did look like, oh, maybe this guy is the next big thing, give him like a year base, you know, that type of thing. But we also, you know, I bring up, we don't know a lot about him, because for me, I'm like, well, how does he deal with weird stuff? Because that is, I feel, one of the first trip-ups that Koreans have when they come over to the European or North American tournaments, is they first got to learn, like, oh, this kid is actually like the weirdest player in the world, and he'll do super weird things. Like Willie Canine, for instance. A guy that I don't think can actually take out most of the Koreans now, but back when they first were like, who is this guy? Sure, he'd take him on, no problem. Not to say that Koreans don't have their own weird guys. Obviously, you know, they had Arthur and whatnot, but it does seem to be something they have to get used to when they transfer regions.
Well, I was just gonna, yeah, speaking of like Canine, right? You will have all kinds of players who are that one guy you don't want to fight in the bracket for one reason or another. Someone like PenguiN because he can knock you out, or someone like Canine because you're just like gonna have a miserable time even if you win.
Yeah. So I am a little like concerned. Goblin has been, even before it was popular, he was doing the mass Oracle thing, and now it is popular, and now it's actually being perfected to be a real build. It's no longer just cheesy. I'm like really worried, but apparently I should be worried for Goblin because PenguiN is going to do a Baneling bus and just forgo all those shenanigans. He has done a couple like Baneling bus before, actually. Like, I'm still not going to call PenguiN a super cheesy player, but he's one of the only Zergs left that I feel still does 2-base Baneling all-ins.
It's a lot harder to see this working against Protoss for very obvious reasons, but I think Mech Depot does have this really grossly shallow natural base. It's congested in where you can't build gateway after gateway after gateway, because like a lot of the times we see this happen, right? Takes out the first layer of Protoss walling, but they just put like a layer of pylons and gateways behind that. You can't do that on Mech Depot. So there's like, I can see a small possibility where this maybe works.
It's difficult to do. I mean, it really felt like it was just about snowballing back when it was a popular maneuver, and this is not snowballing.
No, but still getting the Cyber Core here, be dedicated to that. Not with the Oracle out, I guess.
Not even gonna happen. That was really weird. He went in with too few Banelings. You think he would know how many Banelings it takes to kill on a depth?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the intention was with the 4. I mean, the
You
idea
know,
is
he
like
might
he
have
still
thought
killed the
he
pylon.
was-
If Goblin was like slower to their response, maybe he just runs through, right? But Goblin quickly threw down the extra pylons, and that's SimCity.
I'm think maybe he thought he was already scouted, and this is more of a go time, like I gotta go now type thing. I'm not sure. Well, he
It's
will
a
get
Cyber
some X
Core.
core, so that's only gonna leave Zealots to be warped in, but the warping is available.
You know, the surface area here is really favoring PenguiN too, so he's getting a lot of damage done, but I still think this has a very limited lifespan of damage. However, the
you know
problem
what?
we are seeing where you can't layer in is real, but not enough links get through. This is going to kill a small handful of probes, but I don't think enough to be game ending.
Nah, and that's 2 Oracles. I was worried he only made 1, but there are 2. He has a Phoenix in case Overlord drops were going to be a thing, is what I'm guessing he made that. And I think he's held on, because it's 2 bases, not even like that fake third that can be maybe macroed with later on. Like, there's no third at all.
The SimCity here at a Goblin, by the way, I got like 10 out of 10 here. This is a tough space to work in, and he's made it work really well. Even with the Zealot going down, there's that secondary wall set up. Oracles don't even turn on their pulsar beams. They're not breaking a sweat here. One pylon may go down, but you could actually put a new pylon there. PenguiN knows the jig is up, though.
Yes, it is. Alright, not the most impressive first game.
Well, maybe not from PenguiN, but I would say impressive for me for Goblin, because I know Goblin to be this guy who is the one to apply the pressure, to be the one who applies the cheese. Actually watching him defend against that as perfectly as he did, making very little to no mistakes, that for me was like, okay, not a good game for PenguiN, but that was a great game for Goblin.
That is true. That was, I don't know, maybe he just really wanted to get it over and done with. This is actually not so bad a time in Korea, now that it's a little bit earlier, accommodating a little bit for the big remastered reveal that's happening.
Yeah, that's why we bumped up the tournament start time today.
What time would it be? It's 1 a.m. Yeah, something like that.
Well, just waiting on our next map pick, guys, once we know for the players, because it is loser's pick in the Corsair Cup. A quick, I guess, side note too. Well, first off, hey, I haven't mentioned this yet in the stream. Guys, follow the fucking channel if you haven't, please. We're almost at 90,000 followers. But someone earlier today tried to compete, but didn't know the deal on how it works and all that. And this isn't to call it the individual, that's why I'm not using his name. Because he made some really basic mistakes. And I just want to point out really quick, the Corsair Cup is always open to anybody, any league. You can be Bronze League, I don't care. Hope to fight your hero Nurchio in the brackets, maybe. But what you got to do, the first and foremost, most important thing is A, show up on time, and B, /join space BaseTradeTV on the BattleNet. It'll put you in the chat channel with the rest of the players so that you can contact them. It'll put you in contact with the admin as well, so if you have questions, you can ask him instead of coming in late and then, like, it's too late to help you type thing. So, again, this isn't like naming and shaming. This is just like, hey, for all those who are looking to compete, maybe next week, for example, you want to play, even though you know you're not going to win, but you want a chance to square off against a pro or something.
Yeah.
Simple, easy peasy.
And as you know, much as we're talking about this, I also want to mention that we don't cast every game, which also maybe was a bit of misunderstanding.
Yeah,
so we're not
the
gonna
only
call
matches we are 100% going to cast are the semifinals and the finals. Other than that, we just kind of rock and roll through the brackets as much as we can.
Righto. Finally have a map. Ascension.
Cool.
It's all right.
A few here. It's still weird. Like, I've got a lot of players on my friends list back from like when we used to cast them, and like people like Lilbo, for example, online Reaper portrait, but like doesn't play the game anymore. He's like all Overwatch.
How is that working out for him? Not so
I got no
passively.
clue. I haven't been following Overwatch at all. It's been.
Yeah, I followed a little, so I know some of the big movements, I suppose. I've not. I think the French scene is yet again just something that I'm not going to be able to pay too much attention to, though. Actually, a lot of the European scenes, not even just like in Overwatch, but in StarCraft, we know have a lot of their own individual tournaments and individual like rankings, basically. Of just people that we don't even know. We only hear about the top tier.
I'm just like, what's his Kids Forever? He's the one who would follow French people, if anything.
There you go.
It's like the big O gaming fan. But all right, guys,
Yeah.
we're getting into game number 2. Spawning in the upper left. He's down a game at the moment. It is PenguiN.
In the bottom right has the pink Protoss. It's Goblin.
Okay, so Goblin showed us a really good defense. Maybe he won't be on the defense this game. Maybe he'll be on the offense. But the thing is, Goblin is not a player I would normally place high to get to the semifinals. But after that first game, this is looking like almost a sure thing for him.
Right? That first game was just not very appealing for PenguiN's chances of winning 2-0. But that is not really indicative of what he can do. He can play a pretty strong macro game.
Well, so what I'm kind of excited about here is we kind of get a little ahead of ourselves and take a quick peek at the bracket. Again, type exclamation mark brackets in chat if you guys need to see them yourself. Top half of the bracket might be ZvZ semifinals, Nerchio versus Raynor, for example. And the bottom side could possibly be Goblin versus Billowy, PvP. So 2 mirror matchups into a ZvP finals would actually be pretty awesome in my opinion.
Hellraiser has been raising some hell, though. Like, Billowy is kind of one of those guys where it's like, well, he should make it to semifinals, right? Oh, nope, just kidding. He lost to some guy we don't really know. And Hellraiser's kind of been once or twice that guy we don't really know, but has been able to score a couple points. That'd be interesting. But I do believe it's going to be Raynor versus Nerchio. And I'm kind of excited about that. Anything to do with Raynor, I think he's like the next, how to put it? He's the next guy to look out for when it comes to like 2-3 years down the road. As Sarah was 4 years ago, and now look what he's coming to. Sarah's actually quite young, but he's been playing for quite some time too. In fact, I wonder if anyone who's starting to get pretty good, I wonder if any of them have actually started playing StarCraft less than 2 years ago, 3 years ago even. I think the amount of totally new people that are going to be gung-ho about becoming pro or,
Well,
quite small.
It's interesting you bring this up because there was that mini documentary got made with the Laser, right? And of course the Laser's interviews with everything, and it's really interesting learning through all these different outlets that Laser was just some Diamond League player who didn't really have like crazy aspirations, but now is like one of the best Zergs out there.
But he's been playing for a while though.
Right, but what I'm saying is like we don't know which current Diamond League players are going to be the next Laser, right?
But my point is that these people have been playing StarCraft for a while. The amount of people that you find that are just like, no, I just got, like Scarlet, for instance, right? She picked up the game, she got really good, and then with the year you knew who she was and like how she played and all that. I feel like that's going to be like really low nowadays because everyone's going to be like, yeah, I started playing StarCraft, 5 years ago, and then I dropped it for a little while, and then I got it back, and then I decided I want to be pro at it. Like that's going to be more of the stories you hear. So even if these guys are really young, like Cyril and Raynor, even though they were like 16, 17, whatever, like even younger actually, I think Raynor's like 15, they've actually been playing since they were 11. That's kind of my point. Just like people have been playing StarCraft for a long time. The amount of just like, oh, I picked it up a year ago. Like, I don't know whenever you're going to hear that again. Actually, even from casual people, it's kind of disappointing.
But that's kind of my point there, right? Where it's like, look, there's a couple of dudes who are just in Diamond League right now, picked up the game maybe a month ago. We're not going to hear about them for a year, but I'm curious how many of those guys, like, you're right with your point in saying, like, from past till now, and I'm saying from now till future.
Okay, so I think the points that we were making is like you think that they will exist, and I'm thinking that they won't exist just based off the last couple years we haven't heard that.
I guess saying they will isn't quite right though. It's like more like I believe it's it's almost like agnostic when it comes to like the belief in God and stuff. Where you're like, well, I don't necessarily believe in God, but I believe in a greater entity. Like I don't believe in the pro gamers, but I believe in the possibility of them.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, that bought us enough time to get to the mid game of a ZvP, which does not have any cheese. Bailey Nest is not something that's going to be super aggressive. He is still bidding drones, getting a lair, getting upgrades, but there is an attempt to cancel his third base, and those adepts aren't really supported by very much, and they get surrounded, so he might just get that cancel.
I think he's actually certainly will, because the oracles are on the wrong side of the map to help defend this. They went to the main and only got three drones. Really not worth it. The sentry buys a little bit of time, and that SimCity helps out a ton. He's actually going to be able to save the base thanks to that one force field and pylon.
I mean, that cut down just barely enough lings that a full surround wouldn't have guaranteed kill that Nexus.
The pylon plus that one force field, by the way, better than 6 adepts.
Yeah, right.
hate how good pylons are.
Now that did not kill the Nexus, I guess looking at the actual trade of lings versus the adepts, and it's really not so bad. I still think that was favorable for PenguiN. 21 lings for 6 adepts, but then he also got a sentry and a pylon, and some of his lings are still alive of the ones that he made to continue scouting, continue maybe sniping probes on the transfer. That was still good. Like, Goblin not having those adepts up against a pylon, but also, you know, maybe in a mineral line was definitely a mistake. Oracles, please. I guess, we talked a lot about the Nod game, I suppose, for a while. Just want to note that he's not going to Mass Oracle.
Ah, yeah, charge lots. Playing a little bit more close to the vest, I suppose you could say.
It's a legitimate tactic nowadays, though, so it's always going to be like, okay, he's not quite up on the new. I'm sure he knows of it. I'm sure he still plays it, but deciding not to this time.
This is going to be a really interesting timing for this attack, by the way. He's setting up the SimCity, and maybe the Banelings can still squeeze through. It really depends if he's paying attention, though, because there are lings distracting him down to the south. Not looking at his probe line, not looking at that mothership core. The overcharge is late, and probes do get picked off.
Okay. I don't know if it's really worth, though. He was defended on every
two, right?
side.
Only one. Two?
Two. It's better. Oh,
3? Oh. 3? Oh.
So he only lost 1 sentry. Like that was 1 soccer, 1 sentry, and 6 probes. Again, the actual loss of lings is not too substantial, and I guess the lenience loss doesn't count the banelings actually exploded.
Well, quick note, guys, we just boosted everyone on the channel, so if you're tuning in and watching, you just got 100 Makarovs. Congratulations, it's like a week of watching the channel. Now you can everyone can participate in the arena battle if you'd like, because you've now got the means to do so. 100 points at the very least will, I think, net you a fair chance to win.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the tiny little aggressive maneuvers that PenguiN has made, not really working out too well, but not too bad either. Still on 4 bases, 76 drones, getting up to Ling Hydra. We still don't have... Oh, we do have Storm already. Just kidding. Those High Templars morphing in.
Honestly, all things considered, I'm actually kind of worried. Like, the upgrades do feel like a little bit late to the party. He's not going to have an easy time executing these Hydras. Charge and Storm and Immortals, like, these are all things he wants. I'm worried that the Mac from PenguiN might be too good.
I don't know. I actually think that Goblin is in an okay position. So it all depends on how he takes the fight, because his army still is going to be small. As usually is with Protoss versus Zerg, so you cannot be caught out in the middle of the map because the Storm's gonna be very ineffective at that point. But if he's defending his 4th base, if he has the double-pronged attacks on lockdown, then Goblin has the tools. He looks like he's gonna have +2 in time for this fight, and he has Storm, which is the most important thing. Yeah, PenguiN up 30-40 army supply, that's nothing compared to Storm, but he is gonna be going for a lot of drops. Yeah,
he's going like Nurture style with this. I love it. Did those not make any sounds when they hatched?
They didn't make a single sound.
Oh my god, South Overlords.
Well, Goblin has no sight over here. I mean, if Terran, obviously you have an observer because you want to see where those drops would come in, but not so worried about versus Zerg. Still not a very popular tactic. He's going to be absolutely blindsided. What important tech is in the main base? Actually,
much.
a lot of important tech off to the right side. I mean,
Well,
Forge for the Council and Templar Archives.
I'm like so on this. I don't know. Like, the Forge against losing the upgrades would really suck. I think rebuilding the Twilight Council is easy enough.
Well, you'd have to build a Twilight Council, and I'm worried about the Templar Archives. Like, this game is going to revolve around Storms eventually, and that's going to be able to support his charge.
Tech going down is going to hurt him one way for sure. But the fact is, this attack in the main did not even get attempted to be stopped. And now that he's finally got the army back home, he's already lost control of the 4th, and his 3rd is in danger. This is so bad.
Yeah, I think there is some serious panic, just like the second where you're just like, oh, I didn't expect this happening, and then you're just kind of still and you don't know what to do. I think that certainly happened for Goblin. He was totally prepared for the attack up the ramp. He was prepared for the attack on his 4th base, just not in his main. And that main did so much damage before it was taken care of. A lot of probes went down for both sides, and Nexus, although the tech all survived, so hey, good thing.
Well, yeah, exactly. As I say, this is actually still researching +3. So the Nexus dying hurts, but you know, the base is mining out. It's not the end of the world. It was this base going down that really is going to hurt him economically. But we'll see if maybe he can recover a bit here with some good trades. A lot of Immortals, a lot of Storms. Need some more on top of the Banelings.
Pushing out into the army just gave PenguiN a huge concave. GG.
Wrecked, savage, demolished.
Yeah, that was pretty... That was exactly what PenguiN was hoping for.
Well, we're going to continue on with the caster luck here and go to another game 3. But before we do, a quick commercial break, guys. So sit tight, and we'll see you soon. All right, folks, we're back, and we're hopping into game number 3. I just got eliminated by Cheetoed. I died to a Cheeto in the arena. Are you kidding me?
Well, that's sad.
Did I choke on it to death? Like, I don't... I didn't even make the top 8 for once, dude. Ah. Well, good luck to the remaining arena contestants. Top left side of the map, this guy has some interesting theories on Korean mannerisms. We'll explain that in a moment. It's going to be the pink Protoss Goblin.
In the bottom right, as the red Zerg, it is PenguiN.
So I'll let Zombie Rob elaborate on this, but just before she does, so you guys know, when Koreans are in lobbies, if they're not spamming, they're just ready to go. They're like always ready to go.
Well, it's not just a Korean thing, but that was like the shortest answer I could make for ready to go. It's just like, so sometimes people say GG after they've won a game in a lobby, right? Like, you know, it is kind of, it might hurt a little, but when you say GG as a loser and they respond with GG as the winner, like they're not being, that's not offensive. Offensive GGing, and this is important, guys, is when you GG before the other person GGs when you're the one that's winning. That is it. That is the only way that it's offensive GG. There's no other way, no matter what anyone else says. So Goblin is like, why you always type offensive GG in tournaments to PenguiN? And I'm like, wait a minute, I don't remember him typing GG before in that last game. And so I was like, offensive GG, and he's like, he always says it in the lobby. Is that a Korean thing? And I'm like, sure, it's a Korean thing, but I just don't think it's an offensive thing at all from anyone. Like, I don't know what to really do with that. You know, I don't want to like make fun of Goblin, but
first off, let's get a quick poll in chat. I'm actually curious from you guys. 1 or 2, all right? Just say 1 or 2 in chat. 1 for if you think the offensive GG is the worst thing you can do, or 2 if you think offensive muling is the worst thing you can do. But
no, man.
But actually, so here's something that I do wonder, and this has everything to do with my own upbringing, right? And I know this doesn't apply to everybody else. But when I was young, I played baseball, and the one thing they made you do after every game, whether you won or whether you lost, was you lined up both teams, and we went down the line shaking / high-fiving each other, saying, good game, good game, good game, good game.
Yeah.
And it was kind of this way to make you realize, like, okay, yeah, winning or losing, it's just about being a good sport, right? So I wonder, like, is that culture not there in other areas of the world? Like in Europe, is that unheard of to do after a baseball game type thing? You know what I mean?
You know, I don't know about Europe. I mean, for me, I was going to say that's every team sport I've ever played in or ever seen played. is that you are gonna, shake hands. I even see the ones that like the winning team does cheer for the other team when they win, which always seemed a little weird, but it was supposed to be in good spirits. Like that's also my upbringing
So
too.
good
So I'm not sure if it's
sportsmanship.
different in Europe. But it's weird though in a 1v1 game where in a team game I've never hated that. I've always gotten up and gone and shook hands. I've never been the guy that just like stays in the corner as much as I am salty. But when I GG after in a lost game, I'm losing and I GG and I can't hit F10N fast enough and they GG back to me before I can leave, it just feels a little more painful, even though it's not BM.
I was gonna say, it's just petty at that point. But actually, I just realized a better contrast to this too. Is like when you watch the like Smash community players, like yes, there's some fighting BM and smack talk and all that, right? And like some people get salty, but generally speaking, game ends, the first thing they do is they turn to each other and shake hands, or sometimes they just hug it out, even if the guy lost type thing, because it was like an epic match.
It's so weird though, because then on the flip side, and this is where maybe I start to see Goblin theory a little bit, is that if you play a ladder game and you tap out GG and then the person GGs to you after in a private message, I still don't think that's BM, to make it clear from my point of view, but I do just kind of go like,
You didn't need to do that, man.
come on. But maybe that's where he's thinking about it. I still don't think it's like, an unoffensive GG, because that is, for me, only means one thing, and that is when someone GGs when they are winning for you. And that just tilts me over the edge. I left my buildings, I sit in the corner of the map, and I say you don't do that, and I teach them a lesson.
So of course, a lot of ones. Looks like people are way more upset with offensive GGs than offensive mules. I think y'all are crazy. But I love the couple of threes coming in there, so I'm gonna say like 3 is now the unofficial like tactical pause.
Oh god. No, I've never been offended by mules. They've been such a funny thing to look at in professional games. I've never thought they were very BM, I guess. But if a pro gamer GGs offensively, then I'm just like, well, what a dick.
I'm just gonna throw the Coca manner muled me. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Yeah,
Felt the sting of that.
I bet it was great when the casters saw that.
Dude, I apparently have a Legulac page now? My only match is out there for the caster tournament.
Oh, I already had one. It was pretty sad looking.
Yeah, mine's not so good either. I got good Zerg stats though. Hey.
Hey.
Alright, so oracles are going to be coming across the map again. The first one really didn't commit to much. It was just the stasis trap, and that was cleaned up very easily by PenguiN. I think for Goblin, no matter what style he's planning to do behind this, by the way, his biggest thing is not letting PenguiN get away too much. Because I think for Koreans, I wouldn't even say like they excel in micro, especially cross-server like this, but it's macro. You let PenguiN get on 80 drones, 5 bases, I don't think you're going to deal with his Ling Hydras at all.
Yeah. I was looking at chat for the culture responses. We're bringing up like, do you guys shake hands after? And apparently they do. Same thing. I love this one comment. In Europe, if we disagree, we start a war.
Actually, this reminds me, I saw this hilarious picture yesterday. It was like the atrocities of each country, right? Shows like internment camps, obviously stuff that happened in Germany, and then at the bottom it's got Canada, and it's like a guy slicing pineapples on a pizza.
Oh, you.
Okay, Ling's gonna be running northwards, but the wall's already set up. The depths are here, and there's gonna be plenty of force fields, so I don't think this will be something that catches him off guard. But this still goes back to my point of saying, like, cool, there might be some mutas harassing, there might be Hydras, Lings, and Banelings as you would normally expect, but the thing is, at the end of the day, PenguiN's gonna excel most at macro, and Goblin has really not, like, no 2 adepts early on. The Oracle's hitting almost nothing this game. There's been nothing to slow PenguiN's roll, so he's on 75 drones and 4 bases at 7 minutes in the game, and more to the point, he's like comfortably at this stage too. There's no threat.
Yeah. And while Goblin might just get to his +1 charge and storm, which are all well and good, as he did last game, it's about that positioning, and he was just torn apart. He did not expect that main drop. He did not have a good response to the 3rd base once he lost his 4th. Yeah, this exact entry right there. And I'm more than the same thing will happen.
Those Banelings.
Yeah, I'm more than the same thing will happen, not with a drop of Hydras, but rather with mutas, just distracting him, because I don't think he's going to be expecting this at all. He has 1 Phoenix.
Oh. You know what's actually going to suck more is like, well, this isn't like a stalker-based army. Just contaminated the upgrades. That's not even +1 being done yet. We're going to have +2 done for PenguiN by the time Goblin's on +1.
Yeah. Well,
you just
Warp
catch that Warp
Prism.
Prism too. Big deny with this. It's only minerals, of course, so you're not losing gas, but it's still the ability to do anything else.
PenguiN sees, I think, momentum with mutas. So he started off with 9, gets the Warp Prism, and then 7 more pop out. Like, he is going to go maybe perhaps Mass Muta, and I don't know if Goblin can really respond to that. Initially, does okay. So it's an overcharge, buys times for the cannons, but he's only on 1 Stargate. So his Phoenix count will never be comfortable against the amount of mutas PenguiN's getting. And Blink can help. It's obviously a long ways away. I think PenguiN should just be able to keep Goblin off this 4th for a little while. If he doesn't kill the 4th, then he could probably just kill a lot of probes.
I'm surprised the commitment to mutas, by the way. I mean, it's not something that won't work. Exactly. It's just, it's not a common thing to do anymore. You go 8, you go 10, you get harassed, you run through the bases, and you still go Hydras behind it. But with this much money invested to mutas, more importantly, the gas, PenguiN's, like, I love his macro and I love his income and blah, blah, blah. It's not going to matter if we spend all of his money on these units that could possibly get Archoned down.
I'm surprised that PenguiN doesn't break down all these rocks. So this one, of course, takes a little more time because you want to break down the gateways, but I mean towards the 4th base. That should be another avenue of attack immediately.
The Warpins don't block the Lings out, they block his own army out.
Well, that's going to be those probe losses. Ling's in the main base as well. I think some units try to go to the left side, and Ling's still waiting on the outside of the storm, or the rocks. But the storms are very good. So,
the Stasis trapped out with the Banelings, but he never actually came back to deal with the Banelings, so they still roll in and hit the probes and the cannon. Oh, I love the pickup of the Warp Prism, actually. That's brilliant.
Yeah, I really don't know what about. But now, finally, the 4th base under attack. Again, those rocks being broken down probably would have meant the death of this already, since there were Lings waiting outside of it. Okay, barely saves that, but loses about 30 probes. PenguiN, he's going to Hive, he's continuing his upgrades, and he is just officially going Mass Muta. I mean, 30 plus now.
This is a problem, too, where, like, I love the idea of trying to storm the mutas, right? But he used all of his storms to hit the units that regenerate so quickly. So these are all full health, ready to fight. And Lings are getting through everywhere. Mutas are still being a problem. As long as he doesn't take any Archon blasts to the face, I think PenguiN's got this. And it might even just be too far gone already. He's gonna kill his 4th.
Surprisingly good defense of the main base with the cannons and the stalkers, but right, this the 3rd base, the natural, the 4th base goes down, everything's still just going to hell.
This whole time, his own SimCity's been killing him more than anything else. He can't even walk through this choke from base to base. He had to kill the pylon and leave it dead. He's not even replacing it.
Of course, the biggest thing in this game is that it was just a complete blindside maneuver. He had no scouting in the main base. He didn't even see the lair.
Oh my god, all the gateways depowered. Not that there's any money.
But even if you see the Spires of Chronos players, you usually expect only like 9 mutas to kill the Warp Prism, do a little bit of damage. No one goes for Mass Muta anymore, and Goblin did not have an answer for it.
No.
Didn't have the best response to it either.
Lings the Muta is just running over his entire base. There's actually nothing left for him at this point. He's going to go for an attack, a hurrah to try and use his army, but it's not going to cut it. How many mutas are we up to now? We're up to 31.
Yeah, those are the Phoenixes that have taken forever to build up, and there's only 4 of them. PenguiN realized the situation.
He's getting ready for that base trade full on. Straight up 18 spine crawlers coming down.
He also, I wonder, you know, it's such a common thing to do in Brood War, for instance. I mean, I'm surprised you haven't seen Mass Muta into Lurkers. Because he has a Hydralisk Den. He could have just morphed into a Lurker Den, no upgrades for the Hydras, and just
he's going to lose all his buildings.
Lurkers. Oh yeah, he's dead. He's not going to win.
I was gonna say, but he doesn't even get to do his last hurrah, right? Like, it's actually a good army that is pushing, but he's going to lose everything.
He built an assimilator. He had a probe.
Where?
In the 4th, 5th PenguiN. It's pink on pink, so you can't see it very well.
Oh, yeah, okay, you're right. But still, that's his last building.
It is. I don't even know where that probe was. Oh, I see it now. It is with the army. Built into the simulator.
Yeah, the spine crawlers are buying a little bit of time too, but they're getting shreked. This is crazy. Like, if Goblin had maybe pushed out sooner instead of feeling so defensive, this could have still base traded, but maybe a little bit more favorably. But it's too late now for sure. Like, this game is without a doubt over.
He can't save the assimilators, but he also, I don't think, would win the army fight. You know, the Banelings might seem comical against Archons, but there's enough of them that it's going to be enough.
He doesn't have to trade, he just has to win. So yeah, as inefficient as you want to be, spread the mutas, bring the Banes. Picks up the War Prism, not that there's reinforcements coming, of course.
That storm would have been helpful against Banelings.
Oh, there we go. That's gonna be game right there.
Nope, it's another simulator.
Damn it, where does he keep putting these down?
Yeah, he could just snipe the simulator. Again, the Banelings would do the trick. I really think they would. Even if they don't kill the Archons, they'd be low enough at one shot easily.
Oh, Goblin, what are you doing, man? I love it. By the way, it looks like Billy did get knocked out by Hellraiser, so the winner of this goes on to fight against Hellraiser.
Talking about.
GG. Silly end of that game, but well played, PenguiN. Well played.
Quiet.
Well, now we start getting into the semifinals. This is where most of the points are for the season finals, and of course all that cash too. But first matchup looks like it's going to be Hellraiser versus PenguiN. Nurchio still awaits an opponent on the other side of the bracket. So for those who don't know what the rundown is, it's going to be 2 semifinals and a grand finals coming up next. So 2 best of 3s and 1 best of 5 remaining in the show. Thank you guys for watching. If you are enjoying the show, do us a favor, hit that follow button. It's free. And we're getting closer and closer to that 90K count. We'll see you guys after this small break while we wait for the players to get ready.